This is how transformers actually work, not the robot, not the power box, not the thing your uncle thinks is ruining cinema. The transformer is the architecture that made modern language models possible, which is a very dramatic way of saying it is the design that lets a model process language by looking at how all the pieces relate to each other. That is the center of it. A transformer takes tokens, turns them into vectors, moves them through layers, uses attention to mix information between them, and produces predictions about what should come next. That is the machine. Ugly sentence, beautiful consequences, start with tokens. The text comes in, gets chopped into token IDs, then each token becomes a vector, a list of numbers. Because the model does not work with words, it works with numerical representations wearing the corpse of language. But a list of token vectors is not enough. The model also needs to know position, because dog bites man and man bites dog contain the same words but very different news cycles. So transformers add positional information, a way of telling the model where each token sits in the sequence. Now the model has tokens in order, still not enough. Because language is not just order, language is relationship. The word "it" depends on what came before, a joke depends on setup, a warning depends on context. A sentence can begin politely and end with the kind of phrase that gets forwarded to legal. So the transformer uses attention. Attention lets each token look at other tokens and ask, what matters to me? Which earlier words affect my meaning? Which details should I carry forward? Which parts of the context are relevant right now? This is the part that changed everything. Older systems were worse at carrying information across long sequences. They trudged through language like a tired clerk dragging boxes down a hallway. Transformers made it easier for every token to compare itself against other tokens directly. Less hallway, more surveillance room, every token watching every other token, deciding who matters. Comforting, as always. Inside each transformer layer, attention mixes information across the sequence. Then another part, usually called a feed-forward network, processes each token's representation further. Think of it as two recurring moves. First, tokens exchange information, then each token gets individually transformed. Relationship, processing, relationship, processing, layer after layer. Each layer refines the representation. Early layers may pick up simple patterns. Later layers may track more abstract relationships, grammar, reference, tone, intent, structure, the particular flavor of nonsense humans call professionalism. By the time the tokens have passed through many layers, each token representation has been shaped by the surrounding context. It no longer represents just itself. It represents itself in relation to everything else the model could keep in view. Then the model uses the final representation to predict the next token. Not the truth, not the meaning of life, the next token, a probability distribution over the vocabulary. This token is likely, that token is less likely. That other token would be strange, unless the user has asked for poetry or the temperature has been left unsupervised. Then one token is selected, added to the sequence, and the transformer runs again, again, again. One token at a time until the answer exists or someone hits stop for the good of the room. So how do transformers actually work? They turn tokens into vectors, add position, use attention to let tokens exchange information, process those representations through repeated layers, and predict the next token from the final result. That is the core. Tokens become numbers, numbers become relationships, relationships become probabilities, probabilities become language, and language, as humanity has repeatedly demonstrated, is where the trouble starts.